Well, that was fun. I haven't seen that new video yet. We have a new intro video highlighting our upcoming spring events at D&D in a Castle. But we are not here to talk about spring. We are here to talk about fall/autumn/November with London Carlisle. Welcome, London.
Thanks for having me, Tara. It's good to be here once more. Good to see you and good to talk to the wonderful people.
Great. Yes. So, yes, this is our DM deep dive, or Dungeon Master deep dive for D&D in a Castle. I'm Tara, founder of D&D in a Castle, and we are talking with one of our Dungeon Masters, London Carlisle, particularly one of our hardcore mode Dungeon Masters. So that's a little bit special and exciting because this is our big reveal that London is going to be running hardcore mode this fall in the first round of D&D in a Castle, November 3rd to 7th, at our our classic castle that we've been running Dungeons and Dragons at for some time. This particular set of rounds of D&D in a Castle, this particular fall season, is going to be our last one at Lumley for a little while. So that's something to think about if you were always hoping to check out that venue, to the people watching. But you can't check out the hardcore modes because they are sold out because people like more D&D. For those who don't know, hardcore mode is 50% more D&D. Our regular campaigns are 8 hours a day of D&D, and hardcore mode is 12 hours a day of D&D. So are you quite prepared, London?
Wait, how many hours? I have 24 hours prepared. So, I mean, I can cut some off if you want me to.
24 hours a day of D&D. Yes, let's go. Can you handle it? I don't think you can handle it. Hardcore mode, can you handle it? Well, we shall see how it goes at the castle. But first, before we get into your campaign, I just want to ask you a little bit about dungeon mastering in general. Love to hear your views on that, your tips on that, what you think makes a great game, how to make a great game. But firstly, like, I know people watching this are probably D&D players, but it's interesting to hear what is dungeon mastering? What is that art form?
Yeah,
if you had to define it.
Yeah, dungeon mastering is a unique art form in that it encompasses a lot of different things. In one arena, you are a referee. In another arena, you are a storyteller. And in another arena, you are a friend. And so you wrap all those things up and you become a dungeon master, which is someone that can make rules decisions in the moment if things come to a stalemate. Someone that guides the story to its natural peaks and conclusion, and a friend of the table that wants to see the players succeed and be the heroes that they all want to be. And that's what it's all about for me. And I love this art, and I love being a dungeon master.
Awesome. And what do you think makes a great dungeon master? Like, lots of people dungeon master. A lot of people are afraid of dungeon mastering, or they feel intimidated by it. What do you think it takes to be a dungeon master at all? And then what do you think it takes to be great at it?
Yeah, I think to be a dungeon master at all and to be a great dungeon master is sort of the same thing for me. It is being yourself. I feel like where a lot of people get hung up about dungeon mastering is you feel like you have to be a certain thing. You have to be someone. You have to be a certain way to dungeon master. But no, you have to be yourself and play the game that you want to play play the game the way that your players want to play it, and sort of bring your own flavor to it. It should be fun for you. So if you're having fun, you can be a dungeon master. And it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be anything other than what you bring to it. So that's my view on it. So like my dungeon mastering is going to be different from anybody else's that you play with at D&D in a Castle, and that's just the way it goes. That's what comes with the art.
Awesome. And if somebody was wanting to start DMing, even if they're maybe not that long they've been playing and they think, what excites me about this is dungeon mastering, or they've been playing for a long time, or where would you recommend that they start?
Yes.
What would be sort of something they should do in preparation? Would they start with just go end to end of Curse of Strahd? Or would it be read the Dungeon Master's Guide cover to cover, or watch lots of Critical Role? I don't know. Where would you tell them to kind of start as preparation for running a game of D&D?
Yeah. So where I would tell them to start is the place that I started, which is taking sort of a short, again, not Curse of Strahd, but a short published adventure Luckily, Wizards has these compilation books that have a lot of different one-shots in them or different shorter adventures, very digestible sort of pieces. Take one of those, go online, and then search for an actual play group or person or video online of someone running that. Follow along as you watch with your copy and see where they stick to the script, see where they deviate, see where they add things, see where they take away things, and see how real players react to those words that you're reading. You know what's there, you know how it's structured, but obviously it's not going to play out exactly like that. But if you follow along and see how real people interact with it, you're able to get a good grasp of one way dungeon mastering can be.
Cool. And you're coming up to run hardcore mode at D&D in a Castle. And if you're interested in learning about hardcore mode, you can go to dndinacastle.com/hardcore and find out what that's about and what that's like, and what's involved, and whether you think you're up for that. By your understanding, we mentioned it's 50% more D&D at hardcore mode. What does that allow for you as a dungeon master, or what challenges does that present to you as a dungeon master to be running 12 hours a day? So basically you get up, eat breakfast, and then you play until you drop and then repeat. So what do you think that's going to be like as a dungeon master, for better or worse?
Yeah. So what I think that'll be like for me is that, for me, I don't see it as just like 50% more D&D. I see it as an addition to the campaign in terms of like, this is a broader type of game that I will be offering to the players of hardcore mode. So it's not just like longer, but we're going to have different experiences, and we're going to add an element to the campaign. And one that I would like to, sort of tell people and announce about here is the use of Bastions. Bastions are a great new part of 2024 is a rule set. They give you a place to go when the adventuring is done. So we're not just going to be out in the trenches all the time in this campaign, but we are going to take it back home a little bit. And you're going to get to define what that home looks like for your player. You're going to get to customize as a noble within the setting that we'll be exploring, what that home is like for you, and like what happens when things threaten it. What happens when the world around you changes? How do you change? How does your home change? And what does that mean for the party? So for me, I'm seeing this as a chance to explore a different sort of state of play of Dungeons and Dragons alongside the rest, alongside your intrigue and role playing and combat, but also this sort of domain level type play.
Cool. And so let's get into the hardcore mode. Let's hear a little bit about the game you've got planned. Obviously, without spoilers, there may be some of your players watching. We do post these links to the players so they can join in and hear a little bit about the game they're going to be playing, get to know you a little bit, and maybe ramp themselves up for that with a little bit of teasery information. So, what is your campaign called? What levels are you playing in? And what's the premise? What are you going in with?
Yeah. So my campaign is called Lords of the Shieldlands. Now, if you hear the term Shieldlands, you might think Greyhawk, and you are correct. So this was within the Greyhawk campaign setting, a classic Dungeons and Dragons campaign setting. The Shieldlands are an area just sort of like northeast of the city of Greyhawk. Now, this is a place that is it's an independent alliance of noble houses. And so our players will be playing heads of these noble houses. This will be a tier 3. We're starting at tier 3 adventure. So these are adventurers that are seasoned. These are adventurers that have power within the world of Greyhawk, within the Flyness. So as a sort of a higher level adventure, these are people that are really capable of tackling sort of wider threats. And there are wider threats that are coming into the Shieldlands. If you're super duper familiar with Greyhawk history, you might know what I'm hinting at. But let's just say there are some secret societies rooting themselves within these very lands, possibly within your very home.
Ooh, okay.
How do you find out about that? Will you find out about that? What happens if you do? what happens if you don't? There will be a lot of player agency within this campaign, and I'm very excited to explore, what happens in that.
That sounds very intriguing. It sounds like a lot of political intrigue. Is this a very political game that you're going to be running? Lots of politics, lots of diplomacy?
Yeah. So it's sort of structured in different. You're going to get a little bit of everything in here. Lots of diplomacy and political intrigue, a little bit of dungeon crawling, and then a little bit of domain management. So it's sort of 3 phases that I'm working within this campaign, and you'll get all of those phases each day. So you sort of move through them as we tell our story together.
Cool. And how do you view combat in your game as a DM generally, the role of combat? Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people have different philosophies about how, because combat is a big thing. These are war games to a degree, but there's also, role play and exploration. And what is your view of combat, and what kind of role does combat play in this particular hardcore mode campaign that you're running?
Yeah. I love combat. I love being in combat. I love playing combat. This will not be a super combat heavy game, but it's certainly there. And the combat that I've structured within this game is appropriate to the levels that we're playing. So within this game, you're going to go up against some threats. They might be a little bit of a higher level than you've played before, depending on how long you've played in your 5e games. So I want to bring to the table threats you might not have faced. So combat in this game plays a role to challenge people that have power, not just powers within their combat prowess, but powers in their lives. So the combats, while mechanically challenging, I want those combats and the things you're going up against to also have political implications about the threats that you're facing. Like the things that the specific enemies that I have planned, you might not want to fight them. It might be better to have diplomacy with them. So with every combat in this game, there are options. You have options on how to tackle it. It doesn't have to resort to combat. But if you want to take it there, you can take it there.
And what do you see as your role? Because this came up in a conversation recently, not on stream, just offline, talking about, signaling to players or setting up combat or setting up encounters that could be resolved various ways, and sometimes it has to resort to combat, and sometimes it can be resolved diplomatically. And I know when I was talking with Guy Sklanders recently about his recent campaign, that they had an actual diplomat at their table just negotiate his way out of everything, and all the combat got sidestepped. But as a dungeon master, if you set something up a certain way, what are some techniques or any advice that you might have about how to manage those choices with the players, or how to, for example, signal that you're not going to be able to convince this dragon, you're not going to be able to do things the way that you're doing that, not without letting the time get eaten up with trying to do things that have been set up. And not that you're railroading your players, but you just you've set things up a certain way. How do you sort of handle that while still giving agency to the players, but also saving them from themselves in a way?
Yeah.
Any thoughts about that?
Yeah. For me, some NPCs have stronger convictions than others. Some NPCs have stronger wants and objectives than others. Some NPCs are more locked in to what they want, and they're going to get it at any cost. And these puny little heroes aren't going to stop them. They're not going to talk their way out of this. I can end this quickly with my claw, with my tooth, with my spells. And so they're going to bulldoze through you because that's the quickest way to get what they want. And so if they come up against someone like that, I, in my portrayal of that character, show that that's what they're about. And that's the most realistic option for this character. And just through my portrayal of it and showing through the words, through the demeanor, through the body language with a good insight check, they're going to know that. So that's kind of how I kind of signal that and kind of set that up. But on the inverse, if there are options, this NPC might be a little more keen to hear them out. might be easily bribed, you know? So just the tone of the character, I try to use the tone to signal subliminally, you know, if this has to end in combat or if you have options.
Cool. I have a sort of technical question. Well, first of all, there is a question in the chat, or some comments coming in. Some people saying looking forward to playing this game. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and the people who signed up for hardcore mode are in for a real treat. I think it's going to go so fast. People always say that about regular campaigns and hardcore too. You dump. It's like you're on a different timeline. It's like you're in Narnia, and you're like, what just happened? You know, just gone to another world and come back, and how can time have passed? Or it feels like it hasn't. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the question is, what's the process? And this is a question for me to be selected as a DM at D&D in a castle. I will say there is a form on our website for becoming a DM or for recommending a DM. If you know of somebody who you think would make a great dungeon master at D&D in a castle, you can complete the form. DMing is by invitation, so we review the applications and we invite them. And there's also, I don't know how much I can tease, but we are preparing to launch a brand new event for dungeon masters specifically. And so participating in that event would be a great way to get in front of us and get to know us and show us your skills as dungeon masters. D&D in a Castle is for dungeon masters to play because they get to play at D&D in a Castle and not have to be the DM, because I know they always have to be the DM because nobody else is going to DM. But I want to ask you about that. I think we cold called you, reached out to you because we liked your work and we thought there's somebody I think would make a great addition to the castle. I will also say, and it's listed on the internet on where the form is, what kind of skills and things we're looking for in a dungeon master. We're very selective about picking people that we want to hang out with. I mean, that's basically it. That are good, that are established, that have made contributions that we feel are significant to the world of D&D, and that people will want to play with at the castle. So that's really the big thing. If people want to play with you and you're good people, we want to have you. That's basically what it comes down to. So we learned about you. We found you. What was that? What were your thoughts when you heard from us the first time?
Yeah. I mean, like, I had already known about D&D in a Castle. I think I first heard about D&D in a Castle from an ad that I got while I was in college. I was working a part-time job, like, in the student affairs office. And so, like, I didn't have to do much. I ran the Lost and Found. But I was sitting there at the computer, and I got an ad for D&D in a Castle. Seems awesome. I had never played D&D. I would never play D&D for years from that point. But it looked awesome. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get to live this fantasy life and be a hero in excellent environs. And that's where I first learned about it. Over the years, as I started playing, as I started creating content for the game, and started, meeting people and playing, in the communities, in various communities, it was like an easy, like, yeah, I'd love to join up and I'd love to be a part of this once I was asked. But it's also cool because, like, I already knew some of the other dungeon masters before I ever joined, like Mark Meir. I met Mark Meir in Atlanta through like the cosplay community there. I knew the 3 Black Halflings from running games with them. So it was really cool to be with like-minded creators and excellent storytellers. And that was an opportunity that I didn't want to pass up, and that I never want to pass up again, not that I ever did, but like, it's a great environment. So like, I recommend it to anyone that loves telling stories through this art form. I love that you called it an art form earlier, because I feel like a lot of people don't think of it that way, but that's a great way to describe it, Tara.
Thank you. Yeah, I do think it is an art form. I think it's a kind of like many art forms, actually. It involves skills and talents from a variety of art forms that are combined in a unique way. And it's almost like performance art, not performing arts, but performance art, in a way that you're creating art that people are living in and interacting with and experiencing. So if I know the difference between performing arts and performance art, I would put it in the performance art category, Kind of, but yet not completely. It's also not. So it really is its own. In your game, a couple more questions about your campaign, because I'm super excited about that. And for those who are just joining us, we're talking with London Carlisle about his hardcore mode campaign in November 3rd to 7th at D&D in the Castle. There is one spot left in London's other campaign at D&D in the Castle this fall, November 10 to 14. So if you're like, there's no space left in this game and I want to play with London because he looks so fun and he is so fun and you will love his game and you will love the castle and you will love it all. So you should come and play with, take that last seat because it is going to go. There's only one left and lots of tables are sold out already for that season. So strong recommendation there. But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the hardcore mode campaign. And so I asked you just before this interview which rule set you're planning on using, which is something people are interested in. And you said the same for both campaigns. So you have chosen to completely transition into the 2024 rules, and there's some pragmatism to that because that's what you can do on D&D Beyond the simplest, I understand. And so you mentioned that the Bastions are a feature of the new 2024 rules. What else is there in the 2024 rules that you think is going to impact your game, or that you are looking forward to working with in this context?
Yeah. There's like a flavor to the 2024 rules that I think is sort of like unique to it, and that like the enemies feel different. And I feel like there is this extra feeling of heroism that kind of comes with the PCs in the 2024 version. So these are very capable heroes, and I love that flavor for D&D in a Castle to really push through to the end. The heroes can handle it, and so you can throw a little more at them. And I love throwing big things at them, so y'all can take it. Y'all are powerful, so like I really love that flavor to it. I see a question in the chat about like our subclasses from the 2014 rules used. Yeah, totally. Still use those 2014 subclasses. They're compatible. That's cool. If you're in my game, so I'll have some more details very, very shortly just on all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's cool. Multi-classing is cool. Yeah, that's good.
And that's all going to be true in your other campaign as well, just because that one people could potentially join. And somebody's saying always great to play and perform alongside like-minded, kind, and compassionate people. And I mean, a lot of people make friends for life at D&D in a Castle. We try to pick dungeon masters, as I said, that we would want to hang out with, people that we like their vibe. We have we hire people on skills, on accomplishments, on all the things, but there's an underlying precondition of just vibe check. People are going to encourage the right kind of vibe among the players as well, of inclusivity and of excitement and fun. I mean, we're here to have fun. We are here to play. It is a game, and we are here to play it. So, do you have any stories of friendships that you developed at D&D in a Castle?
Yeah. I wish it had panned out. Like, I'm unavailable for this, but like we were in the process of like planning like a small vacation with my party from last spring, and so but like so that kind of thing in terms of like long-lasting friendships are totally a thing. So you're right on the money with that. You could possibly, I don't know, continue playing after the game, and like have friendships that go for years because of this event.
Yeah, that definitely does happen. People stay in touch. They continue playing together online, all kinds of that type of thing. In terms of your campaign, we've talked about how there's a lot of political intrigue. I love that you're using the new stuff that's available in 2014 right out of the gate. I mean, 2024, with the Bastions, and looking for those features and those opportunities to, do something unique and new for people. In terms of the tone of it, like, I know you're a big pop culture guy, and I know you are a bit of a movie guy. In terms of, you had like a couple movies, you'd be like, it's somewhere around these films if you were to give it a tone,
Yeah. You know me. You know me. You know how I do these weird mixtures.
I know. That's why I want to know. What's it going to be this time?
Okay. This one's Game of Thrones meets Hereditary.
Oh. Okay, okay. I hope that's not too spoilery, but I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
very big and epic then. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, the families and the feuding and the intrigue, and then hereditary.
Yeah,
Nice.
there's something else that's like happening. I don't know. But you can take those things. I'd throw in a little bit of the 80s D&D cartoon in there. So
A
let's
little
add
latency
that
and I
3.
love it. Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah, just to keep it fun. That's the keyword.
It's gonna be fun regardless. Y'all are gonna have a great time with this.
That's so awesome. I'm going to we've got just a couple of minutes left. I'm going to ask you, where can people see you if they want to learn, well, what is London Carlisle like? How can I find him, check out his content, like any actual plays that are coming up, projects that you're involved in where people can go and find you and learn a little bit more about you and decide if they want to take that last spot in the fall?
Yeah. So hit me up on social media at London Carlisle on pretty much everything. You can head to my YouTube where I have some playlists of like all my actual play stuff, where you can see me run Dungeons and Dragons, play Dungeons and Dragons, all there. So click through. It goes back years where you can just see how I play, see my style. I'm a very easily, I mentioned this earlier, I'm an easily enthused person, and I just get really excited about games. And so if you want that energy at your table, I'll bring it to you. And I would love to play with everybody. So, check me out on my socials on YouTube. If you're in the New York area, keep an eye out on the socials for like theater stuff. I do a lot of theater. Currently doing a lot of like writing and stuff too, trying to put my own stuff up. So I'm very excited about that as well. I'd love to engage with you. So don't be a stranger.
I love it. I love it. So if you have questions for London in particular, find her at him on socials at London Carlisle. And for your upcoming games at D&D in a Castle, it's two level question. The first is, how do you know at the end of a campaign or the end of a session that you've succeeded as a dungeon master? And then my question is, applying that to your upcoming games at D&D in a Castle, how would you know for those campaigns in particular that you've done what you wanted to do as a DM?
Yeah. How I know after a game is if they're still talking about the session like after it's ended. So maybe not immediately after it's ended, while they're getting up from the table, but like on that break, on that dinner break afterwards. Is the conversation still reverting to things that had happened? That's usually my sign that things were good. I feel like it'll be like a little tougher in terms of in this next campaign, in the hardcore mode campaign, because we're playing.
No breaks.
No breaks like that.
Come back.
Exactly. So it'll be harder for me to gauge. So my anxiety will be like, oh, do they like it? Just kidding. But like, I feel like if you have fun, that's the ultimate gauge. So as long as people are having fun, I'm gonna be so happy with it.
Well, cool. Now, usually we close out our DM deep dive with an invitation to the people to come and play in the campaign we're talking about. We're talking about hardcore mode in the fall, November 3rd to 7th at D&D in the Castle, but it is full, so you cannot invite people to join that campaign. You could invite people to check out hardcore mode in general. I will say the only hardcore mode that is available in 2025, they are all sold out, but we have just launched our 2026 tickets, and there is hardcore mode. There are 2 separate hardcore mode games happening in the spring at our new home, which is also a medieval castle in the northeast of England, but it's brand new if you want to check out our new venue. So why don't you invite people to come and check out hardcore mode at any of the upcoming rounds of D&D in a Castle, and that will take us out of the video.
All right. Thank you so much, Tara. Adventurers, you are called for hardcore mode, the hardcoreiest of hardcore modes in all of hardcore land. So please come to D&D in a Castle, play hardcore mode. If you are looking for a full campaign, if you feel like your life is busy, come to this fantasy world with us at the castle, where you can get an entire story from top to bottom, lots of gameplay in one location. This is the best vacation you will have, and I implore you to join us. You're gonna have a great time.
Amazing. We are going to have a great time, and I've had a great time chatting with you, London. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you at the castle.
Thank you.